Starting our drive along the Havana's most popular avenue. This is the Malecon's Drive, or the Seaside Drive. You will see much better all the restoration works that are taking place at the buildings over here on the left. Look at the beautiful facades. The colonial architecture we do consider very eclectic style. It is a big mixture of architectural styles. You will see from building to building the way that they change all the columns, the arches, the balconies. So at the end, we build this colonial architecture, a big mixture of architectural styles. Always characterized by the front porches, the doors on the windows as the roofs, with the purpose of keeping well ventilated inside. All this restoration program has been sponsored by the government and UNESCO. Since 1982, they began working on that. Since the middle 70s, our government began organizing all the restoration works. But for the government alone, it was impossible to carry it out. The government had not enough money for all this restoration. With the UNESCO's financial help, since 1982, it was that all restoration dreams became true. And you can see, we've got a few years to keep busy working on the restoration. Look at some of the buildings already restored on your left. Look what a beautiful facades. From here on, we're going to see that the architecture gets very different. That's the city from the 1900s on. Look, that is totally different, all the architecture of the buildings. That's the other general, the monument on your left, General Maceo. Like at Varadero, also here at Havana, people can have the facility of the two buses, double-decker buses open top, to enjoy it hop on, hop off. When a celebration is going to take place in here, they stop traffic and all the place is going to be usable as one square. On the left side here we have the National Theater, where you will see the face of Che Guevara, that's Ministry of Defense, Military Intelligence. Where you will see the face of the other revolutionary Camilo Cienfuegos, that's Ministry of Telecommunications. On the first marble step, where there are people walking in there, that's the podium from where Mr. Castro used to speak. On the right side, we have the top building, Ministry of the Army. At the end of the street, that's Ministry of Economy and Planifications. The National Library on the right, with the face of Camilo Cienfuegos. During the Castro Revolution, again, there were four leaders: Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, Raúl Castro, and Camilo Cienfuegos. Che Guevara left Cuba in 1965. At the time, he was working as the president of the National Cuban Bank. He wanted to continue fighting for the freedom of the countries, Latin American countries, so he went down to Bolivia. 1967, he was killed there in Bolivia. They were not so successful. They were cut prisoners, and the CIA ordered his execution. They never said the place where they buried his body. 30 years after his death, a group of Cuban archaeologists found at the Big Valley by the Euro Canyon the human remains that belonged to Guevara and the revolutionaries that were buried together. Nowadays, they're buried at Santa Clara. There is a big square like this one at Santa Clara, center of Cuba, and that's the place where the Guevara's memorial. His family still lives here in Havana. He got married with a Cuban lady. He had 2 sons and 2 daughters.
A lot of Cubans coming here to meet their friends, sit around to smoke a cigar. You find the people, like the people over there, you're going to find, that's the typical baseball talk. We're having nowadays the National League, Cuban National League, so it's very common to find the people just talking about the place last night. Today, they're playing here in Havana. Right ahead that way, we're gonna get to the rest, okay? also the other beautiful building here, which as you can see that nowadays looks abandoned. Biggest of the Havana's monuments, just across the channel over there on that hill. About the mountain in there. They have the one at Rio de Janeiro, Open Arms. This one is just blessing the city. It is 51 meters over the sea level. 220 tons of marble from Italy, Carrara. Italian marble from Carrara. The Cuban sculptors, Vilma Madera, created that huge monument in 1958. It is considered at all the biggest of the Havana's monuments, marble monument, okay? So from here, we're gonna get to the main square. The old main square. What's around the old main square? The place where the city was founded on November the 6th, back in 1519. And very close to us here, we have the very old fortress. Remember, I was telling you this morning, at Havana, you can find the oldest and the biggest of the forts that were ever built by the Spaniards in Latin America, around all the Latin American countries. Nice pictures of the Cuban scuba diving. You can go enjoying all these beautiful things of the wrecks and things like that. You find all around here. Back in 1519, Diego Velázquez Arena Cortés founded Havana. Havana was her lady's name. She was the daughter of Abaguanex, an Indian chief. The Spaniards used to name the place by the same date of foundation, but it was founded a city on San Christopher's Day. So the full name of the place, San Cristobal de La Habana, Saint Christopher of Havana. Just popularly known as Havana or Habana, as we say in Spanish. Habana, we say in Spanish. So, the very wealthy Spanish families could afford building such a nice palaces around. A lot of these wealthy Spanish families, after 1899, when the Americans intervened in the country, they just took their fortunes and left the country. The places that were acquired by the, like that one in here, was acquired by an American family. They began opening as a hotel. After the 60s, when Fidel Castro carried out the revolution, all the American families living at the islands, they disagreed with the communist regime. They did the same. They took their fortunes and left the country. The place was abandoned, was taken by the restoration program, and after being restored, they reopened it as a hotel. That's one of the lodging facilities to stay at the old city, St. Isabel Hotel. Notice the beautiful stained glasses on the balconies over there, which are very popular of this Spanish colonial architecture. It's just a show in the morning when you see the sun just going through the glasses, colorful glasses on the floor. You see the very beautiful colors just reflected on those marble floors. So after the foundation, the first civil construction was a square. That's the very old main square. And all the urbanistic development began happening around the square. That's why we're gonna find the oldest fortress. We find the second corporate palace, which is being restored, and we're gonna find the general captain's palace, which is on the other side of the square, the place we're gonna go visiting as the city's main museum, or the history museum. Let's get close over there. You're gonna see around the square nowadays, they have this kind of market of old books. So anybody collecting old books, you wanna find old book, just you come down here. They sell also collections of stamps, of the cigars bands, anything, okay? Let's walk to the other side of the square.
有一个鸟在那个人头上。